Hello, I'm Dr. Sue Morter from Morter Institute, bridging science, spirit, and human possibility. For over 30 years, I've been teaching healthcare practitioners, patients, and students integrative approaches to wellness based in quantum science and energy medicine. Unresolved and excessive guilt interfere with cognitive function, concentration, and daily tasks. The interesting thing about guilt and shame is that people who are caught in those patterns, or when we are caught in those patterns to some degree in some parts of our lives, but not so much in other parts of our lives, it is easy to skim over the top or keep going and kind of brush it aside, and really leaving the individual unaware that they're plagued with such conditions. And it actually is one of the greatest causes of dysfunction in life and in relationship and even with someone's health, because it elicits a defense response in the body that constantly has them trying to outrun or outsmart or outperform the fear that they're feeling back there because of guilt and shame. And so if you're experiencing a challenge in a relationship, or you're unable to move your financial circumstance forward in your life, or if you're unable to feel vulnerable and you take things personally that really weren't intended to be personal about you, and you don't allow the personalization of some great aspects of life, you don't allow the goodness and the abundance of life to apply in your particular circumstances, ironically, these are traceable back to the idea that guilt and shame are playing a role in keeping your system from flowing in the abundant energetic exchange that we know that quantum science is sharing with us about who we are and what we're made of. Parts of us never get to show up to life because of it. So if there is dysfunction in these ways, the invitation is to sit back for a moment and start to breathe into your heart of hearts and come close to yourself in a quiet moment, perhaps when you're falling asleep at night, and breathe slowly, slowly up and down the central channel of your body, and just ask yourself, is there anywhere in the body that starts to become activated or aggravated when I even entertain the idea that I could be harboring shame, that I could be really outrunning a sense of guilt that I'm carrying? Just intimately and sincerely and privately ask the question within the sanctum of your own skin, just laying in bed. And when you begin to allow that vulnerability to be available, and the mind and the body and the breath are breathing slowly, and you're traversing up and down, scanning up and down the body, there'll be an area that jumps out, a lump in your throat, a knot in your chest, a knot in your stomach, or tightness across your heart space. In those moments, the body is trying to reveal to the mind, something's not quite flowing here the smooth and fluid way that it's intended to. Something's being hidden, something's short-circuited, something's being blocked. And those are almost always associated with some sense of self not being good or good enough, ultimately revealing as guilt and shame. Squeeze the area that gets your attention. Let it know that your loving, tender presence has come into contact with a part of you and is ready to birth it into a more mature expression, safely, conscientiously, intimately, gradually, and ultimately, in a very fulfilling fashion. You will begin to have a greater sense of self. You'll find yourself being able to speak into situations that you used to be too afraid to do so. You find yourself being able to tolerate someone giving you feedback without you having to explode or leave the room, or just not be able to hear any kind of feedback because you have to push it away. These kinds of circumstances are a clue that guilt and shame are running their role in your life, and it's wreaking havoc in some aspect of your life, and it doesn't need to. I hope this conversation has been helpful for you today, and if you find yourself procrastinating or in denial on certain things, defensive is one that certainly shows up easily for us. If you have a hard time focusing, you get distracted, or your cognitive functions just aren't staying on track, then perhaps some of these things are happening with you. And the beautiful thing about this work is that it allows you to get underneath the stories about why all that might be happening and where it started, etc., and just begin to work with the raw energy underneath in a very private manner. The beauty of that is you get to create circuitry for healing, and things begin to change, and it happens almost as if you weren't focusing on the problem, but rather focusing on the solution. If you'd like to engage in learning techniques to help further that capacity within yourself, visit drsuemorter.com. We look forward to helping you.